It was a picturesque summer day when my family and I moved into the house on 3rd Street, nestled in a serene New Hampshire town. The house, with its elegant architecture and a history dating back centuries, seemed like the perfect place to start anew. Little did we know that our new beginning would soon turn into a haunting nightmare. As the moving truck pulled away, we stood in front of our new home, marveling at its grandeur. My wife, Aubrey, and I exchanged excited glances, while our 8-year-old son, Michael, couldn't contain his enthusiasm. It was as though the house had cast a spell on us from the moment we arrived. The first few weeks were idyllic. We explored every nook and cranny of the house, and Michael quickly made friends in the neighborhood. But it was his newfound friendship with a peculiar child named Damien that marked the beginning of our descent into darkness. Damien was unlike any child we had ever encountered. He had an unsettling air of maturity that belied his youthful appearance. Michael was drawn to him, spending hours playing in the woods that bordered our property. We thought it was a simple childhood friendship until strange occurrences began to haunt our home. It started with whispers in the night, faint voices that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. Objects moved on their own, and the air grew heavy with an unnatural presence. Shadows danced in the corners of our vision, and Aubrey's once cheerful demeanor grew strained as she struggled to explain away the inexplicable. One night, I heard Michael talking in his room, his voice low and hushed. When I entered, he was alone, but his expression was that of someone deep in conversation. When I asked him about it, he simply shrugged and said he was talking to Damien. Alarmed, Aubrey and I began researching the history of the house on 3rd Street. It was then that we stumbled upon the chilling tale of a demonic presence that had once plagued the property. The demon, bound by an ancient ritual, was said to be forever tethered to the house, waiting for an opportunity to wreak havoc on those who dared to reside within its walls. Desperate for answers, we sought the help of a local priest, Father Thomas, who agreed to bless the house. But as he began the ritual, the malevolent force within the house resisted with a furious intensity. Objects flew across the room, and a bone-chilling voice filled the air, promising unspeakable horrors. Father Thomas's determination prevailed, and with a final incantation, the house fell silent. The oppressive atmosphere that had plagued us for so long lifted, and we believed our ordeal was over. However, it soon became clear that the demon was not gone. It had merely shifted its focus, and its malevolent presence was now firmly attached to our son, Michael. The once vibrant child began to change, his innocence replaced by a darkness that sent shivers down our spines. We realized that our only option was to leave the house on 3rd Street behind. We packed our belongings and said goodbye to our once beloved home, hoping that by leaving, we could sever the connection between Michael and the demon. As we settled into our new life in a different town, we dared to believe that the worst was behind us. But the demon, bound to our son, remained a constant presence, a shadowy figure lurking in the corners of our lives. Despite our desperate attempt to escape the malevolent force that had haunted us in the house on 3rd Street, we soon realized that we were far from free. The demon, once tethered to the very walls of our former home, had now set its sights solely on our son, Michael. Our new life in a different town offered us a semblance of normalcy, but it was a facade. The demon's influence had taken root in Michael's innocent heart, and it began to manifest in increasingly disturbing ways. He spoke in a language that was not his own, one that seemed to be a twisted, ancient dialect. His once bright eyes were now veiled by a darkness that sent shivers down our spines. Aubrey and I couldn't bear to watch our son slip further into the clutches of the malevolent entity. We sought the help of experts, from psychologists to paranormal investigators, but none could provide a solution. The demon defied explanation, clinging to Michael's soul with a tenacity that left us feeling utterly helpless. Night after night, we listened to the eerie whispers that filled our home. We felt the oppressive weight of the demon's presence in every room. Aubrey's once Jovial laughter had been replaced by the deep lines of worry etched into her face, and my sleepless nights had become a living nightmare. Desperation drove us to seek the guidance of Father Thomas once more. He arrived with solemn determination, his faith unshaken by the horrors we described. As he prepared for the exorcism, the atmosphere in the room grew thick with tension. Aubrey clutched my hand tightly, her knuckles white with fear, while Michael seemed to be in a trance, his eyes vacant and distant. Father Thomas, a tall, elderly man with kind eyes and a commanding presence, began to recite the ancient prayers, his voice unwavering, even as the room seemed to tremble in response. The demon, realizing the threat, fought back with a ferocity that shook the very foundation of our home. Furniture toppled, windows shattered, and the walls seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. "By the power of the Holy Spirit," Father Thomas intoned, "I command you, foul creature, to release this child." The demon's response was a guttural growl, a voice not of this world. "He is mine. You cannot save him." Father Thomas pressed on, his words of prayer a beacon of hope in the darkness. The room became a battleground between the forces of good and evil. Aubrey and I watched in awe and terror as the battle raged before us. The demon's voice grew louder, more sinister, as it unleashed a barrage of threats and profanities. "He will never be free. I will consume his soul." But Father Thomas's determination prevailed. With beads of sweat on his brow and a heart filled with unwavering faith, he continued to command the demon to leave Michael's soul. The demon shrieked and howled, its voice a cacophony of torment, but it could not withstand the power of faith and love that surrounded us. With a final, resounding incantation, Father Thomas banished the demon from our lives. The air seemed to clear, and the oppressive presence that had haunted us for so long dissipated into the ether. We were finally free. But the demon, bound to Michael's soul, had not been destroyed. It had been cast out, left to roam the shadows, forever tethered to our son. It was a burden that Michael would carry for the rest of his life, a reminder of the darkness that had once threatened to consume him. Our family had survived the ordeal, but we were forever changed. We had glimpsed the horrors of the supernatural, and we knew that the bond between a parent and child could transcend even the darkest of forces. As the years passed, we moved forward, finding solace in each other's love, and the knowledge that we had conquered the demon that had once tormented us. Michael grew into a strong and resilient young man, bearing the weight of his past with courage. As the years passed, we moved forward, finding solace in each other's love, and the knowledge that we had conquered the demon that had once tormented us. Michael grew into a strong and resilient young man, bearing the weight of his past with courage. He pursued a normal life, attending school, making friends, and even falling in love. But lurking beneath the surface, there remained an unsettling truth. The demon, while banished, had not been obliterated. It had been cast out, but it lingered in the shadows of Michael's soul, a sinister presence that would emerge at the most unexpected times. During moments of intense emotion or stress, a flicker of darkness would pass over Michael's eyes, and his voice would take on an eerie, otherworldly tone. It was as though the demon's influence would briefly resurface, a haunting reminder of the darkness that had once consumed him. Aubrey and I watched in helpless horror as our beloved son grappled with this sinister side of himself. We sought the counsel of priests and spiritual healers, but their words offered little solace. The demon's hold on Michael was a curse that could not be fully broken. Our family lived with the unsettling knowledge that the demon was never truly gone. It was a constant presence, lurking in the shadows, waiting for moments of weakness to assert its malevolent influence. We had won the battle, but the war for Michael's soul was far from over.